Introducing case number 3 featuring Carrie, Bowman, Emilee, DeMoss, Mallory, and Gruenenfelder, and special guest Lola as Bo.
Hey guys, I'm Carrie. It's great to see y'all. What can I help y'all with today?
Hi, nice to meet you. This is my husband's sister, Emilee. She came for support since she has 2 kids with hearing loss. And I came in about my son, Bo. He's 5 and is about to start kindergarten this year. And we're thinking about cochlear implants for him and kind of wondering what our options for school are.
Hi, it's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Okay, so tell me a little bit more about Bo and your other children and where you decided to place them.
Well, my oldest daughter, Sydney, is profoundly deaf and got 2 cochlear implants when she was 2 years old. We haven't seen much success with her implants, and she currently uses ASL and is in 2nd grade at TSD. My middle child, Matt, is hard of hearing and has hearing aids. He benefits from his hearing aids and is pretty oral with his communication, so we decided to mainstream him in a public school. And my youngest, Bo, he's 5, and he has a severe to profound hearing loss, and we're considering cochlear implants, and we just kind of aren't really sure where to go right now. We use ASL and total communication at home, and all of our kids know sign language, so.
Okay, so it sounds like you have a pretty good background knowledge in hearing loss and the options available for amplification. Have you decided what sort of amplification you're going to do for Bo?
Like I said, we're kind of considering cochlear implants, but since they didn't work with Sydney, we're a little hesitant to try it out for Bo.
Okay. Yeah, well, each child reacts differently to cochlear implants, and I definitely see more cases where the children in some way succeed with the cochlear implants. I definitely think it would be a good option for Bo, especially since still being young and having the chance to succeed orally.
Well, we haven't crossed cochlear implants off. We're just kind of getting an idea of like what school options are available if they were to succeed or fail.
So, Emilee, you said your children are hearing impaired as well. So, could this have been a genetic thing? And tell me about your decision process with your children.
Yes, we think it could be genetic. I had a hard time placing my kids. I decided first to try residential schools for my oldest, but because he was implanted and speaking orally, we felt that he wasn't being as challenged in connecting with the other students because he preferred speaking orally over ASL. When our second child was ready for kindergarten, I decided to move them both to public schools. For my family, this was the best decision, but I want Mallory to make the best decision for her kids and her family.
Well, I definitely think it's great to have another member of your family going through the same process and struggles. School placement can be a huge milestone in a hearing impaired child's life. I'd like to start out with the option of public school since, Emilee, you said your children were doing so well in these. With IDEA, it provides free services such as speech therapy, interpreter, and additional aids that may be needed at no cost to the family. Public classrooms are larger and the amplification may need to be changed. But like I said, the school also has to accommodate to each child, and this also provides a great support system and multiple social groups for the child to get involved in. Public schools are gaining more and more hearing impaired children as the years go on in teaching about deaf education. Therefore, each child feels more comfortable attending these public schools. Knoxville has great options at all age levels for the hearing impaired.
Well, Matt's in public school now but doesn't have an IEP or qualify for services because he receives so much benefit from his hearing aids. So you were kind of wondering like what services are available in public schools for Bo.
Well, like I said, each child has an IEP and will test to see what subjects they succeed in and which ones they may need extra help with. It is different for each child and how successful the implant is with the child. There is also the option for speech therapy that is used a lot in public schools as most of the parents want their children to speak orally. Emilee, tell me a little bit about your children and their placement in public school system.
Well, my child was implanted at a young age and has been so successful. He actually doesn't need an interpreter or anything else. He doesn't qualify now for special services. However, my older child needed help. He really had a hard time with reading. During when his regular class would start reading, he would go to a separate class just for reading. He actually really enjoyed it. He liked having a smaller group of students and more one-on-one time with his teacher. He now is back to where he should be in reading.
Well, Mallory, do you have any other questions or concerns about public schools?
I'm a little concerned about Bo fitting in public school. My kids aren't as outgoing as Emilee, so I'm worried about him making friends and fitting in. And I've heard that a lot of deaf kids have behavioral and social issues when they're mainstreamed in public schools.
Well, it definitely has been found that there are these barriers to deaf children in public schools. But I think Bo, with Bo being so young and possibly being implanted early, children at his age don't discriminate as much as children in middle school. I have seen where many children at this young age enjoy learning sign language, and I don't think Bo would have a problem being included in social groups at school. The emotional issues also can be worked on and talked with their counselor, as each child in a public school has a counselor, and deaf children, as part of their services, are given the option to see their counselor as needed.
Okay, well, that gives me some peace of mind, and now I think I have a pretty good idea of the pros and cons of public school. But what are some of the pros and cons for residential school for both? So far, it's been a really good option for Sydney.
Well, Emilee, why don't you tell us a little bit about your personal experience with the residential schools here in Knoxville?
It's a very good school. However, for my kids, it just wasn't the best fit. My oldest had a hard time fitting in with his older peers and also would get bored in the classes. I just didn't feel like he was being challenged. Plus, because my husband and I are hearing, and so is the majority of our family and all of our friends, I wanted to have him to feel like he was in the hearing community with us as well.
Well, as both of you know, TSD provides the option of day school or full-time with on-campus living. My advice to you would definitely not to have Bo as a full-time student with an implant, because I do feel at that age it's important for him to be in a family environment and receiving both ASL and oral communication at home. With Bo having siblings with hearing impairments, also he will get a lot of experience with children like him at home and with the option of residential school. There's definitely many pros and cons to residential school that you should consider. Like you said, Sydney is doing great there, and Bo could also blossom there as well. But with you really considering a cochlear implant and hoping for it to be successful, I think Bo would be more challenged and more involved in the hearing community if you went to a public school with more options for him. If the cochlear implant didn't work or you chose not to get the implant, I think this would be a great option to consider, especially since you have a child already succeeding there.
As far as TSD goes, we definitely want him to come home in the afternoons like we do with Sydney. We live about 20 minutes away from TSD, and we have several friends there that have children that go to TSD. We really like this school, but it seems like if Bo's going to benefit from his cochlear implants, it might not be the best fit for him, like it wasn't for Emilee. So.
Well, it definitely sounds like you know the pros and cons of both public and residential school. There's also the option of homeschooling. Have you considered this before with any of your other children?
I've thought about it, but I work full time, and I want my kids to have the ability to like make friends outside of the home, and also to have separation from their school and home life. So I feel like that'd be kind of difficult.
Yeah, I totally understand. I would just wanted you to be aware of the option, and because both of you and your husband are fluent in ASL, you could give your children more individualized attention and meet their needs as they come about. It would be a lot to do with each child, and with each child being in different grade levels and with different hearing devices, it can get difficult to have them all succeed to their full potential and receive the amount of instruction they need.
Yeah, I just think it would be too much for you to take on your plate. Plus, like she said, I heard it's hard to try and reach all the benchmarks for all of your kids, especially when they're all in different grades. Plus, you love your job and you guys need the money.
Just keep the idea of homeschooling in the back of your mind, but it seems like residential and public schools would be the most beneficial choices for your family and Bev.
Well, thanks for all your information. It seems like it'll depend on his success with the cochlear implant. I think I'm kind of leaning towards public school if it is successful. I'll take all this information to my husband and see what he has to say. But he's always been a real supporter of oral communication because his family has had so much success with it so far.
Well, please tell your husband not to hesitate to contact me if he has any other questions or concerns. And also, thanks, Emilee, for being here for support and sharing your experiences as well. Is there anything I can help either of y'all with today?
I can't really think of any questions right now, but I'll talk to my husband, and if I have anything else, I'll give you a call.
I'd love to hear the outcome of both the amplification and your school placement, so please keep in touch. And good luck with everything.